Welcome to the Future Proof Leader podcast. I'm Jessica Raypatch, and today we are honored to have Jennifer Massey. She's a founder of Integra HR. Welcome, Jennifer. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'd like to open it up by you telling us a little bit about what you do and what your mission is.
Thank you so much for having me today, Jessica. So a little bit about Integra HR. The reason that I founded the company was I do understand that businesses don't necessarily understand the complexities of HR and learning and development, and they need strategic partners to be able to do that. So we can be a company's outsourced HR infrastructure and their learning and development training team, or we can partner with their internal structure to kind of build out and help them assist with maybe some projects that they just can't get to on a day-to-day basis.
So I bet you're busy.
We are actually very busy, and that's a good thing.
All right, so we could kick this off. We can talk AI right away because I love that space. We're in the AI era as everyone's calling it. So what are you seeing in the workforce right now? Are people calling you because they need HR support and training for AI implementation, or are they still not there yet?
I think it's a combination, and it depends on the company or the organization. I think there are some organizations that are really hesitant and perhaps even afraid of the technology and what it might mean for either their positions or their organizations. And I think there's others that have quickly jumped onto it, but don't necessarily understand the ethics around it. Maybe the fact that they're trying to replace human intervention with technology, and there's still that need. So I see a wide spectrum of people's responses to it. And we are getting requests for training. We actually created what we call an AI results, very basic course, and we went actually international with it. So we did it for a Canadian company. It was all virtual. It was about 2 hours, and it's just the basics of AI. We did it in a fun and creative way. And it also talked a little bit about the ethics and about really training your employees on your policies and your procedures and how you want to see them using it so it can be used ethically and appropriately for your particular business.
And this is where the scary thing is. I feel like there's a spectrum of companies that just aren't really addressing AI at all. And your employees are using it, whether you like it or not, or if you know it or not. It's integrated in probably all your IT systems by now. It's integrated into your workspace in some capacity. So my thing, I have CEOs and say, well, I don't really know what to do with it. We're kind of playing around with AI or whatever. But I guess the bigger question is like, how are you getting the message to CEOs and founders that establishing those ethics and those standards and those SOPs for AI in the workplace, how are you getting that across? Because in my opinion, I think it's like a must right now. If you haven't done it yet, you should be working on it at least because it can cause some issues for your corporation down the line.
Absolutely. So there's a couple of ways that we're trying to educate the clients that we're working with, and that's through obviously newsletter communication and regular interaction. And it is coming up even from an employee disciplinary perspective.
Oh, for
We've
sure.
had a couple of situations where an employee used AI and the company didn't have a policy or procedure or protocol around using it. They didn't like the outcome of the individual and what they had used it for and how they used it. And they felt that it clashed against their values. And so they ended up terminating the employee. And so it was having some conversation around it is totally your decision to be able to do, right, either discipline or let someone go. And on the other side of that, though, is we didn't really set the employee up for success and understanding that. So some of it is through natural conversations that are coming up in the course of that. It's through newsletters. And we are also going to be addressing that at our upcoming client appreciation day that we're going to do this fall. So we'll kind of do a little bit of a deeper dive into AI and talk more strategically about how you can address and train your staff and your leadership.
because I feel like if you want to touch more on this, but I don't think it's a neglect issue. I think it's that CEOs and founders or the C-suite, they don't really know what should the policy be. Well, what should be out there? Like, I don't think there's many laws with AI right now to, you know what I mean, to regulate it. How do you figure this out on your own? Do you talk to other leaders? Are you talking to your employees? How are you using it? Like you said, your brand is your name, your reputation, your company reputation. So I think where I'm seeing feedback is that they just don't understand how to do it. Well, what policy? Well, what would you recommend? Well, what should it be? There's no laws that governance, and a lot of like insurance companies aren't even covering like AI, any of, I'm IT AI company, and they're like, well, we don't cover any of your like AI stuff because we have no, that's a broad spectrum and that's pretty risky. And it's like, well, so I don't think that's developed either. So where do you go from there?
I think it starts with some of the basics. And for me, it's understanding the variations of AI
Yeah.
and understanding your current systems. And I think it's having some really transparent conversations because I think the other piece of it is they don't understand the technology. What is generative AI, right?
Right. Yep.
Um, and how should we be using it? And where is it safe to use it? And we also know that some of the AI platforms are not secure, right?
Oh,
Cybersecurity. So it's having those technologies, but I think it's talking with experts. It's attending some of these trainings, some of these conferences to start to have the conversation and educate yourself on it. I think back along my 35-year career, and when I started out, we were calling in payroll. We were just implementing DOS systems and then went to Microsoft systems. And we were trying to train people on the technology. Well, this is exactly what has to happen now. We have to train people. People have to learn AI just like we did with the first kind of technology revolution, right? We
right.
have the industrial revolution, we've had the technology revolution, and this is the second. Well, it's probably more than the second phase, right? Then the internet came about. We had to train people. Do we use the internet in our business? So it's the same thing, but I think people are so afraid of it, and there's a lot of myths out there about how destructive it can be
Right.
versus how much it can do to create time back. So you can actually spend time more strategically versus spending time on more manual processes or data analysis. You can synthesize. And I believe it's going to create different positions with different skill sets, just like every phase of our like work has happened over the course of time. Certain positions may disappear or reduce in number, but other ones are going to come as a result of that. And I think it's having the conversation of reducing the fear of AI.
So you touched on two things that we're pretty passionate about. So the first one is when it comes to clients or anybody reaching out to us, like, hey, we want to do this AI system. Hey, we want our processes to be improved or whatever. We want to implement this, and then thank you for your time. Our questions are always, well, how are you going to sustain this system? How are you going to train your employees to use it? We would not like you to invest your money in all of this preparation, the process improvement, the implementation, and then we leave and then it breaks and then you guys just wasted X amount of dollars. You would think that most companies do invest in these training programs, but they don't. And there are a lot of IT systems that don't come with training programs. So are you seeing the same thing that we are kind of seeing? And how are companies responding? Are they hiring training, or is that where you're stepping in as well?
We're trying to step in there, but I don't think it's as fast
Yeah.
as the AI revolution, right? So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like we're on the back end of it. So I think people are trying to put together programs, figure it out, and we're doing it in real time
Right.
versus knowing something's coming, right? That a new system is coming. And we were very good at creating technology that met a business need. And what's very different about AI from my perspective is we're actually harnessing the power of creating technology that will work for and with people and that can actually be nuanced in a way that we've never seen before. So there was like this structured way that we created technology. And this is us actually creating the structure and individuals teaching the technology to create the structure that's needed. Very different skill set. And I think we're behind the curve as far as what we are able to do and teach and train on it because we're learning in real time at the same time. And we're already behind. 5 minutes ago, somebody was doing something that taught AI or created a different version of something along the way. And so it's so fast paced, I think it's hard to keep up.
Oh, yeah.
But this is where I think organizations like yours and mine can really support people. We can look at it and then go, okay, strategically, what do we see? And what are the at least some steps that we can put in place as we're kind of building it as we're flying?
Yes, very customizable. And well, to your second point, you're watching companies kind of shift. Well, I would hope that we're calling it the great shift and not the replacement. So you have like three buckets of companies. I was actually just talking about this on one of my last podcasts. It's like the company that just is not willing to touch AI, which is a problem because it's being in your company. We already kind of addressed that. Then the companies that are kind of dabbling in it, they're trying to do it the right way. They're testing a lot of products, which I think is very smart. But then you have to take action if you want to actually optimize your operations and start making moves now. But then you have the companies that are hard charged into AI from the get-go. They saw it's a way to capitalize. They saw that, hey, we're going ahead of the curve. We're going all in. And they fire half their workforce. Well, so now what? Right? So those people in the middle ground of the companies are kind of dabbling with it. I hope in those phases they're thinking about where the shift will happen. I love how you say, and there's going to be new positions that are going to be coming up. So, like, why not resource your secretaries that now all administrative tasks can basically be supplemented with AI? It could be enhanced with AI. You still need people and humans in those spots, obviously. But instead of five, maybe you need two. Why don't you take the three, shift them to these new innovative spots? Imagine if our companies stopped focusing on daily operations, menial tasks, and shifted to creativity and optimizing your creativity about what your product is, what we can come up with as humans. Now, AI is only as good as you know how to prompt it, right? Yes, it can do workflows. Yes, it can cause efficiencies in different ways. But when it comes to creativity, when it comes to vision, AI has very big limits there because it doesn't have the 30 years of knowledge from your company. You might have typed in some things. Did you type them in the right way? Did you add all the details? Did you get the stories in the background of what happened 15 years ago when the company almost went under? Did you add all that? Because if you didn't, we're going to miss opportunity. So, as an HR firm, are we at the point where people are calling you because they fired a lot of their staff and now they're wanting you to come in and help them because they need HR support now? Are we there yet?
I think we're headed there. I'm
Ugh,
not sure that we're there yet, but I think we're headed there. We get a lot of questions about, well, do we really need HR? Or I'm going to Google it, right? Or I'm going to
right,
put it into Chat GPT. However, you still need some human intervention and or experience to go along with that because you may get the right answer, but how you implement it or how you do it could actually lead to even further risk or liability. So I think we're headed there because there's been a lot of talk about, yeah, we could replace entire HR departments.
right,
We could replace entire programming, right? If you're in the programming or computer science like space, where we could eliminate entire departments or divisions.
right.
And so we still have to think about the fact that we still need human intervention to teach
Yeah,
this. And I love how you're talking about like the shift. And I love the fact that you're talking about, okay, so we don't need five administrative assistants, right? Or executive assistants. We need two. And so how do we take those three and repurpose, right? Upskill and train them to do other things and using that in a creative way because we have been, from a labor statistics perspective, we don't have enough people to do the
right.
positions that we have open now. And
Yeah,
so we can actually take individuals and upskill them or retrain them what a wonderful thing. And maybe we can start to fill some of these open spots that we do have in organization because we've known it was coming for a long time. I think COVID really elevated that concern because people started making shifts. They started stepping back from professions that they had been in for a while or making complete career changes or deciding to stay home, which is absolutely fine. And it's important for that as well to have that support for your family. But I think it is a great mindset. I love that. It's a learning mindset of let's make this a shift and let's just figure out creative ways to repurpose talent that we already have that clearly want to work for us as an organization because they're there and they understand some of the historical perspective. And now it's just applying what they can offer in a different way. I
Yeah.
love
And it's sad when we're talking about human resources
it.
being replaced by AI. I think that's a little bit scary and risky. And the thing I like to talk about a lot is human connection for collaboration, but also connections outside of your business. Your AI tools cannot go to a conference and connect with somebody else in the same space, shared personalities, shared passion, vision. How do I know, how your company's values are based on your AI? I'm all about AI. I'm all about AI implementing and enhancing. I'm all about it. I'm not about people relying heavily or 80% on their AI to run their business to save some money because I think there's like the human capacity to make connections with one another is the strongest thing you can do for your company, right? It's outsource outreach. We're humans. We do really well when together collaborating, company partnerships, things of that nature. So I could talk a lot about that, but I want to focus more on what you do and what you can bring to the table. So when you come in and work with a company, so what does that look like? Can you give a scenario of like how you would walk in and kind of assist a company? Let's say that is they called you because they really are feeling a little bit lost in with their human resource department or whatever, and you're asked to supplement. So what does that look like working with you?
I can actually give a great example. I had a final meeting with a potential client today, and I believe that we'll be starting to do some work with them next week.
Nice.
And they've been in that 40 to 50% range as far as employees. And so they don't really feel at this point they need a full-time person, but they need a collaborative partner. And so what that looks like is I believe that one of the things we're really good at is sitting and listening, understanding what it is that they truly need, and figuring out a strategic plan to be able to implement those things. And we may not be their solution for forever because as they continue to grow, and that's their goal, they're going to need someone on a much more regular basis and really be a full-time embedded human that will strategically partner with them, create the engagement that's necessary, and support the team on a longer term basis. But it's really about building for them some systems, some processes, and a better understanding of what HR can do from a strategic perspective and how that can enhance what they already have there. And they've got some great things already in place. Now let's kick it to the next level so that you can then grow that. And then we can be your collaborative partner for a longer term basis, or we can help you to search for that full time or three-quarters time HR person that can be boots on the ground on the day-to-day basis to support you and the trajectory as you grow. So I think it's really about partnership, collaboration, building community, and understanding their needs, and not just from an HR perspective, but understanding how does HR collaborate or fit with IT infrastructure, your operations, your programs, the services, the things that you do from a business perspective. One of the things that I learned many years ago from a mentor who unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, but what he said to me in my 20s, I was at my director level role for the first time. This was in my early 20s. And he said to me, you can be the best HR practitioner, but if you don't actually learn the business, you will never fully have a seat at the table. So get out of your office, understand the other functions within the organization, because that's where you'll add value. because you could step into a situation and say, well, I think like we're going to hire somebody. Yep, I hear what you're saying over here, but if I don't understand the business, I'm going to make some HR decisions that are not in alignment with the business. Once I'm immersed and I understand, right, this is how program works, or this is the service that we offer, I can better align the talent that I bring in, the policies that I create, and then I don't become the obstacle. I don't slow down the process. I actually create a much faster trajectory for us to actually do the things that are needed for the business much more quickly.
Now, with the companies that you do work with, do you feel that there's a collaborative like component among the HR department and in the business itself, or is that lacking?
I think sometimes when we first go in, because sometimes we're inheriting situations where
Oh,
they
yeah.
haven't been happy, I think that we have very long-term clients and we have repeat clients. And so they keep coming back and they keep coming back. And I think that they realize that it's not just about, right, the invoice that we send them at the end of the month. It's really about understanding them and really wanting to support them as an organization. And I think they really appreciate that, which is a little bit different maybe than others in how they approach the work, because we want to be longer term collaborators. And it doesn't even mean that we have to be doing that because we have a client consultant relationship. It may be they're doing a fundraiser and we may not be working with them at the time, but we're supporting them, right? We're supporting their workforce or the services that they're providing or the greater community. And so I think that they realize that we're more about the bigger picture than it is just about the day-to-day transactional or strategic things that we can do for them. Does that make sense?
It does. And it goes back to that human conversation we were having where you come into I mean, we've worked with other companies and it really does matter to build those relationships.
Mhm.
And I think when you can really tell when a company comes in and they genuinely care about what you're doing and they know how to ask the right questions on your business. And I'm sure you've worked with many businesses. You maybe do things you've never done before, but having the open-mindedness and the willingness to come on site and do you only work on site or are you virtual or
We're a combination. So
a
I'm actually
combination? Okay.
registered to do business in Connecticut and Georgia. I have one
Okay.
consultant that works out of Georgia, was a longtime New York resident, but has semi-retired, but she supports our clients from Georgia. So we do a combination of in-person and virtual. So it just depends on the clients. And, you know, my motto is we can be in and out of your business as much as you need us to be.
Yeah,
And when you need us to step away, we'll step away. And when you need us to flux in, we'll flux in.
I love that. Yeah, everybody's different, unique. I love that. Okay, so where can people find you? Do you have a website? Are you on LinkedIn?
I'm on LinkedIn. You can certainly reach out. And our website is integra dash or hyphen HR.com. So happy to connect and reach out. We would love to partner with anyone.
I love that. Yeah, I think what you have is genuine and I could feel your passion through the screen. So I love that. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show today. And I'm hoping people will reach out because it's really important, your mission. And to our listeners, thanks again for tuning in to the Future Proof Leader. And I hope everyone has a great day. Bye, Jennifer.
Thank you.